Just lately, if I have a drink or two, especially wine, I've started to like.
Yeah, well, I've noticed it myself. Rightio, we're back and ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, sort of ready.
I got 2, but 1.5 beers on the go. Very sober when you said that.
All right to go?
Yep.
I was asleep. I heard the devil call my name. He said, "Don boy, come on down. It's time I stake my claim." Well, I cried, and I cried out loud. I regret what I have done. But the devil, he just laughed. He said, "Don, you had your fun." Heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. Heard the devil call my name. Well, at last, I finally woke. My room was all in flames. My lungs filled with smoke. I heard the devil call my name. I cried, "Lord, help me now." But he just turned the other cheek. He said, "I can't help you now. You got your destiny to make." Heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. Now I feel like I'm burning up inside. I got nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Well, I said to the devil, "Mate, how would you feel? Maybe we could get together and do some sort of deal." He said, "I've been burned by that crap before. I don't do that crossroad shit anymore." I heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. Now I feel like I'm burning up inside. I got nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. Heard the devil call my name. Thank you. Hey, we years and years ago, I got a job in the public service. I couldn't believe it. I sat the test, and they said, "Don, would you like to work at the tax office?" So I said, "Yeah." So I went along there, and after about 5 years, I rose to the rank of second from the bottom. And I hoped that if you ever rang up the tax office for help with your tax pack and you got the answer, Australian Tax Office, this is Don, that you didn't take any notice of anything I said. But anyway, I used to share a cell there with a bloke called John Kelly. And he would come in every morning and he had this big fat 3-year calendar with the pages on. And he'd tear a page off and say 980 to go. And he was counting down to his retirement. And I got out of there before he finished. And I wrote this song called John Kelly's Calendar. John Kelly has a calendar and he's marked out all the days. 797 until his retirement day. The office has a window, I watch the girls go by. I see the buses grinding on, I catch a glimpse of blue sky. Once between the buildings I saw a daylight moon, but I was brought back to earth all too soon by another pointless meeting, or one more stupid call. Some big shot down from Sydney supposed to motivate us all. And they sometimes ask me, why do I stay? I ask myself that question every single day. Sometimes we talk about it, John Kelly and I dream up ways to walk out and not even say goodbye. Maybe I could go feral and grow veggies in the hills, or buy up some sort of franchise with my lawn mowing skills. And they sometimes ask me, why do I stay? I ask myself that question every single day. But I've got my reasons, like a year's got its seasons. A man has to do what a man's supposed to do. But I wonder what would happen if I believed I could fly. Would I take to the wing or come crashing down and die?
Song about calendars there.
One night I was sitting out on my back veranda. I had fish and chips for tea, and I had a cask of cheap wine. And I wouldn't say I passed out, ladies and gentlemen, but I had a dream. I had a dream. I went to Melbourne to kickstart my career. I had to get away, there was nothing happening here. I'd made a new CD, best one I'd done so far. Then it started getting played on 3RRR. So I'm walking down Brunswick Street, feeling out of place. A bearded hipster comes up to me, staring at my face. Man, he said, I love your new CD. I went into a guitar shop there. They wanted a selfie with me. And it was all just like a dream. It was all just like a dream. Just like a dream. So we had the album launch at the corner hotel. That place was packed with friends and faces I knew well. James Black from Rockquins, Julia Zamira too. They're checking me out for episode number 992. Paul Kelly slips in and sits down in the back corner. Courtney Barnett, Jeff Lang and the A&R man from Warner. And during the break, my old agent comes over to me. Donnie, he said, let's get some action up in Sydney. I'll organise a tour, just leave it all up to me. And it was all just like a dream. It was all just like a dream. But it was just a dream. Just a dream. 'Cause now I'm in the front bar of the Federal Hotel with a few lonely drinkers. It's a scene I know well. They stare straight ahead as I sing Pat Malone. For the together unconnected, it's a little too close to the bone. And after the gig, the manager comes over to me. I know he's going to try and renegotiate the fee. I've done okay though. I sold a few CDs. Enough for some cheap wine tomorrow and fish and chips for tea. I'll get a cask of piss tomorrow and have fish and chips for tea. And it was all just like a dream. It was all just a dream. I had a dream. Just a dream. I had a dream. It was just a dream. Even I can dream. Thanks very much. Now, as far as I know, there's only 2 songs ever written that mention Kensington Road. There's the one that we're going to do for you right now, and then there's the one that Paul Kelly wrote. He mentioned Kensington Road runs for miles before turning. That one. And it's a bit of a story there. Paul Kelly and I were born on the same day. He was 1 year older than me. He was born in Kensington Gardens and I was born in Magoo, the next suburb. We both come from big Catholic families. I come from 7 children and he, of course, comes from 9. We both went to Catholic colleges. I went down there to Morris Brothers, which is the cheapest Catholic college in South Australia, and he went to Ross Trevor, the most expensive. We both barracked for Nord, both went to Melbourne at about the same time. Well, you know, like he sold hundreds of thousands of records. I've sold hundreds. But I got one thing on Paul Kelly. I don't have to wear a hat when I play. But the story goes on. I remember when we went to live in Melbourne, we used to sometimes rehearse at a place called Richmond Recorders, which had several recording rehearsal rooms in it in Richmond. And the bloke that ran it was called Tony Cohen, and we were practicing there the first time. This is when I was playing in a band called the Bodgies, and we were practicing there. Tony Cohen rings up Molly Meldrum, who used to live just around the corner. And he said, Molly, you got to get down here and listen to these blokes from Adelaide. They're great. So Molly comes down and opens the first rehearsal door he could see. And he said, are you the blokes from Adelaide? And Paul Kelly says, yeah. And then the next thing you know, he's on Countdown. Yeah. But anyway, and then here's a current one. I just got my final AstraZeneca jab the other day, the day before yesterday, fully vaccinated. So I was thinking, you know, maybe I should...
If you want to kiss Dad, come and see him after the show.
Maybe I could do one of those photos like they do, you know, you bare your shoulder and you see the bandage on it, you know, being fully vaccinated. So I get home and I go into Facebook, and guess who's bloody put his... I got vaccinated this morning, Paul Kelly. Yeah.
But you could kiss Paul Kelly now.
Yeah. I don't have enough money.
Sell some tickets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, why am I telling you all this? Oh, yeah, Kensington Road. Well, if you keep on driving up Kensington Road, you'll end up on a hill. You can look out all over the city from there, where it's quiet and it's still. Well, there must be a million people down there, all lined up in straight rows. And you wonder what the plan is from the end of Kensington Road. Well, there must be people dying. There must be people making love. There must be people crying out for help from their God above. Is it a town or is it a city? Depends on who you're talking to. But for me, it's just a place where people are living, and they do what they gotta do. Well, you can hear the hum of the traffic, watch the jet planes come and go. You can see the ships out on the bay from the end of Kensington Road. Well, there must be people laughing, little kids on their first days at school. There must be parents working out how to pass on the golden rule. Some people down there are living their dream. Some are dreaming their lives away. Some are living for tomorrow. Some just getting through the day. And I wonder, it makes me wonder. Well, I wonder why. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. Oh, I wonder why. Thank you. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Albie wears a pork pie hat, walks like a man with things to do. He carries an old shopping bag, it's red, white and blue. And Albie collects up bottles and aluminium cans, then sells them down the depot for whatever he can. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. Well, I've seen him at the Oval, I've seen him in the park, I've seen him up on Main Street collecting after dark. And every Monday evening he comes over late at night to collect up all the bottles we leave out by the light. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. Should I go home to bed or drink another beer? Albie needs a bottle. I guess the answer's clear. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Well, may your bag be full of empties and your eagle eyes stay true. May the handles on your shopping bag never fail on you. May you collect up all the empties in the southern hemisphere, and the pile that they make go through the stratosphere. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Collecting, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba. Thanks very much. Now, I've mentioned the Bodgies a few times in various stories I've told you tonight, but this was one of the first songs I wrote, and we used to do it in the Bodgies, called Stuffed Again. The bass player is finally tuning his instrument.
That'll do.
Well, I got this feeling so strong it must be right. I'm headed for it's a long and troubled night. I see it stretched out before me, and I feel the unknown. I see a dark cloud coming. I must face them on my own. Oh, I'm stuffed again. What happened to those letters that I sent? Sinking low, 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 low. Looking for a place to go. Well, you gotta look out for people who just want to use. But if you're as stupid as me, then you'll always
Song about being stuffed again there.
That's right.
That was a good joke, Jake.
For the best.
It was filthy. We can't possibly repeat it.
Have you got your clock? What time is it? Ed, what time is it?
These lights are really bright for me.
No worries.
I can't even see the beautiful people right here.
The Hay Plains, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure a lot of you have probably driven across there at least once. Speaking of the Bodgies, I remember when we first got our gigs in Sydney, everybody was saying, oh, you have to cross the Hay Plains. So it was like looming this large thing in our minds before we even crossed it. So, and I went back there a few years ago, and this song sort of seeped into my head as I drove across. Drove all the way to Sydney in the middle of the night. When I went through Penrith, it started getting light. In that narrow street in Newtown, outside that front door, it finally got through to me. I couldn't do this anymore. So I turned around and drove back from where I came, fighting with the sun on that wide empty plain, with the Hay Plain blues. Just drive on through, don't look back, don't look back. That was years and years ago. I tried not to think about it much. There are a lot of good reasons to fall out of touch, but I just got a call, so I'm going back again. This time I'm driving to farewell an old friend, with the Hay Plain blues. Just drive on through, don't turn. Back in the old days, it was if you wanted to get anywhere, it was really crucial that you had a record contract because recording a vinyl CD, LP was so expensive, and getting around was very expensive. So you needed record company support. And so, as you would know, to pitch yourself to get a job or anything, you'd have to go to the record company and say, "Yeah, look, we're the greatest place, we're the greatest band ever, and I'm writing the best songs ever, and we can do better, and people love us. So we can get to play at the Wheaty Hotel every Sunday." That's right. And blah blah blah. You have to put that on. And had a lot of conversations like that with record company executives way back, and when they started making small talk to me about, oh, Adelaide, you're from Adelaide, are you? And I said, yeah. Oh, that's a nice place. I went there once. I sort of knew that they weren't interested, and they were just letting me down gently, making a little bit of conversation before telling me to piss off. So what I've done is roll all those conversations with record company people into this one song called Conversation with the Man from EMI. Wine there, yes I know. Yep, Donnie Dunstan and the Adelaide Crows. I'm a singer, songwriter, guitarist. Come on, you must need more of those. I've played pubs and clubs and halls. We've done the market and the mall. I've played all 4 gigs they've got there 100 times or more. I've done them all before. I'm a legend in Adelaide. They love that song, they're the one I just played for you. They love me down in Robe, and they're gonna fly me up to Roxby Down. There's a lot of weird murders there, so they say. But you don't really notice it much day to day. I play the Wheat Chief on a Sunday, and sometimes the Grey Semele. We've rocked the big room at the Gov. Filled that place with a lot of love. And the comrades call for more whenever we play it down at Semaphore. I'm a legend in Adelaide. I made the charts there and I get played on a community radio station where the announcer is no relation. I'm a legend, but I'm not yet a star. Sign me up and we'll go far. I'll go everywhere. I'll go anywhere, but please don't send me back there. We could work the system and get a grant. You just bend over and drop your pants. Then you dream up some weird marketing plan. And some RHSA bureaucrat hands you 10 grand. It's a 20-minute city, that's all it takes to get around. Don't be mistaken, this ain't no stand town. You can go for a drive in the Adelaide Hills. You can go for a drive in the Adelaide Hills. We had the Clips 500 and the tour down under, and we love to hate Sam Newman. You can go for a drive in the Adelaide Hills. I'm a legend in Adelaide. You just tell them you're from Melbourne and you've got it made. I've been on the ABC. They played 2 minutes of my song that goes for 3. I'm a legend in Adelaide. I'm a legend in Adelaide. I'm a legend. Thanks very much. Big hand for Jake on the guitar. Oh, better have a beer. See, I usually judge the length of our sets by how long it takes to drink a pint. And the first time I went back to Melbourne for a few years, caught me right out, because they have proper pints, not the 600 things.
Playing for 2 hours.
Yeah. The bar said, well, we like you playing a long time, but that was going a bit too far, Don.
Well, you're only playing for half an hour, but you're really wasted.
Yeah, that's right. I have another one after that.
Yeah, might do.
We'll keep up with the Adelaide theme, eh?
Oh, yeah?
No, we're here.
My girlfriend's gone to Sydney on an evening train. Once she sees those city lights, she won't be back again. And from the airport lounge, I can see the town skyline, see the hills in the distance, and it feels like being time, 'cause I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. My sister's gone to Brisbane, her husband's gone to Perth. I get a postcard of London from a friend at work. All the kids have gone to Melbourne to kickstart their careers. There's a part-time job in Kmart, he's all we can offer here, while I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. At 6:15 every morning, 2 jets fly overhead. They're bound for the eastern states and they get me out of bed. The sound of people leaving is the sound that starts my day, and it always starts me thinking it could be me again someday. But I'm sitting in the sunshine in my big backyard, eating peaches from my fruit trees, and leaving just seems too hard. While I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. Song about Adelaide there. I mean, statistically, we probably have more songs about Adelaide than any other musical group.
Maybe the Hilltop Hoods.
Maybe the Hilltop Hoods, yeah.
They suck.
Yeah,
Hey, I
but
tell you what, I make these guitars, see, and I go around to, I've been around to a lot of old places, you know, falling down wrecks and stuff, and looking for an old sheet of tin or something that's good to use. And this particular one is made from my mum's house in Broken Hill, where my grandparents used to live. And I remember as a kid playing cricket in the backyard down there in Broken Hill, and the tennis ball that we were using went into this back shed, really dark, long shed. And see, my grandmother was only 4'2" or something, but she was ruled the roost, you know, with a severe hand. And my pop wasn't allowed to drink anything in the house, and he was only allowed to go down the pub twice a week or whatever. Anyway, I followed the tennis ball into this dark shed, and there was old Pop sitting in the back corner, drinking a beer. And he said, "Don't you tell your grandma I'm in here. I'm making her a surprise." So I remember that, you know, I remember the house very well. And so when I started making guitars, I went back there a few years ago and got an old sheet of iron, rolled it flat there. The neck is from leftover skirting boards from in the house, like the house is abandoned and falling down. The neck headstock veneer is from this old iron bark stump that had fallen out from under the house. Got the house, and all that sort of getting around in old houses has inspired me to write this song.
Thank you very much. We've been Don Morrison's Raging Thirst.
I didn't press the button. I wanted to start that again, sorry. One day I'll be rusting, possums in the roof, pigeons in the kitchen, floorboards coming loose. The porch out the front has long since blown away. There was nothing there to shelter anyway. One day the old dog's grave will be erased by time, replaced by a fading keep outside. Old sheets of iron lying on the ground, sheds and shelters falling down. But once there was a garden with fruit on the vine, a band on the veranda, there was dancing and wine. Once there was a wedding out on the back lawn. Once a little child was born. I've been renovated, I've been bought and sold, I've been advertised as charming, an investment one should hold. A renovator's dream, then land value only. Now, no one seems to own me. But once there was a swing set, kites flying in the breeze. Once there were little children climbing in the trees. I've seen 1,000 goals kicked and many overs bowled. But now, I'm just old. One day I'll be empty, standing all alone. Anyone that knew me, long since dead or gone,
One day I'll be leaning, wind howling through the door. No one knows my story anymore. Now we might, let's speed up the mood a little bit, I think. My boss is an idiot. His boss is too. He'll do anything they tell him to. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The hardest part about my job is to put up with that creep. My boss is an idiot. 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 He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about you. The only thing he cares about is when his promotion comes through. He struts around the floor, thinks he's very clever. That man is a genius, said no one ever. My boss is an idiot. 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 One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. My boss is an idiot. Now, here we go. Here's the when I'm asked to sum up my my book. This could be big. 35 or 40 years at the DAG industry, the DAG end of the Adelaide music, the Australian music industry. Excuse me, I'm losing it. There we're back. My instinct is to say 5 men in a car. That's what it was like. So I wrote this song called 5 Men in a Car. 5 men in a car, not sure where we are, but we're going somewhere. We'll get there. It's 4 a.m. and on this giant highway, there's only trucks and us on this giant highway. 5 men in a car. Ooh, 5 men in a car. Towns go by, they're just names. Refueling stops on We've been here before, maybe. Now I'm not sure, but it looks the same as the place before. Ooh, now it's my turn to drive. Ooh, it's my turn to drive. The oil light comes on outside and undrew. If we break down out here, not sure what we'll do. Roadhouse food near Gundagai, could be Horsham or Hay, Lismore or Yass or Narrabri. Oh, thanks very much. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. It's been really good to get out and play. My fingers are like soft as hurting like hell. But we're right. We're going to introduce on my extreme left, in political terms, and no, not so. Jake Morrison on the guitar. And in the central, Eddie Morrison on the bass. And Andy Progonsky on the drums.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, prettier than a flower, the man with the largest arms, the most charms, who does the most harm, too hot to handle, too cold to hold, Mr. Don Morrison!
That's the best ever. You can see why we got Eddie on the job, don't you? No, that's great. Okay, we're going to finish off this set with finish off tonight, a song called Pat Malone, which is pretty much like a misadventure from when I was I was barely 20 years old and I went over to London to do a bit of backpacking, and my plan was to buy a motorcycle, ride it all around England and then across through Europe and down to through Asia and back to Australia. But nobody in my family had ever been to Europe before, and I didn't realise how cold it was in February in Europe. And so, but Mum said it's cold over there, so she knitted me these thick socks, and I had a thick jumper, and went and bought this motorbike in London, and rode all over Europe until one day I got sick of the freezing cold, and my bike stuck in first gear on an autobahn going into Hanover in Germany. And I could have fixed it, but it was so freezing cold I was sick of it. And every time I put my tools on the
the ground in my helmet. These trucks would go past at 160 k's and it'd blow down the freeway. Nearly got killed finding my helmet. So I'd rated in first gear to a youth hostel in Hanover, and a fella there gave me 50 drachmas for it, which seemed all right. So then I go down to this Snaps bar in Hanover, Germany, and was going to have a beer and celebrate being able to just catch the bus and stuff anymore. And I went to pay for my beer with the drachmas. Only then did I find out that was Greek money, and wasn't worth much at all. So an old fella there took pity on me and paid for my beer. And as I sat alone in the Snaps bar in Hanover, Germany, I remember that feeling years later when I became a world famous songwriter, and put it in this song called Pat Malone. I was traveling in a foreign town when a stranger flagged me down. I was lost and far from home when I first met Pat Malone. After a while we went our separate ways, and for many years he disappeared, never leaving a trace. Then in a crowded bar, I was drinking alone. He said, "Remember me, I'm Pat Malone." He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. I've known him now for many years, and we have shared 1,000 beers, but I could not call him a friend. He's just someone I see now and then. He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's just the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's just the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with
nothing else to do the trick.
With Pat Malone. Thanks very much. We hope to see you again sometime. Thanks for coming.
We're not going off stage. Last time we went off, you all left.
Hey, we might try Fitzroy.
A song about Pat Malone there.
Well, thanks very much for that. That's very encouraging. Now, no, I meant that. I meant that really. We haven't done this song for a while, but it's cropped into my head because today, or this weekend, is the 25th anniversary of Fitzroy Football Club's last game. And when I was in Melbourne, I became a Fitzroy supporter, and then later on became a member of the club, and so I really liked them, and to put them, and you know what, the AFL, they sent Fitzroy to play their last game ever to Perth. They wouldn't even play it in Melbourne. It was just disgraceful. I know. So anyway, here's a story I wrote about them. We were down too long, it's true. So sink the boots into the maroon and blue. Throw some dirt onto the grave. Give the Roys a final wave. We can look back over 100 years and we can count 1,000,000 tears. But I can't believe our time is through. Fitzroy, I'm calling you. And when the end came, it was awful and slow. They propped up the corpse and put it on show. And made it parade in front of fools and heathens. Then made a farce out of our final season. Then they took it back to the morgue and tore it apart, looking for the secret of its mighty heart. But the heart was broken, never to beat again. Betrayed and tormented until the very end. Then they sold off the Guernsey, sold off the name. Money men let loose on the people's game, as if money could buy courage and pride, as if money could fill up that emptiness inside. And in some time in the future, when we've lost our way, we've sold our culture and got nothing to say. When a club's just some fat boy's marketing tool, we'll all realise that we've been fooled, and we'll look around for something to fill the hole. We'll remember the spirit of the Roys of old and send out the call for the maroon and blue. Fitzroy, I'm calling you. Butch Gale can never die. Burnley Quinlan never cease to fly. Kevin Murray with all his might. Fly the flag and fight the fight. The ghost of Bunton at Brunswick Street. Flashing hands and dancing feet. Mickey Conlon come crashing through. Poor Rouge, but still love you. Stand back cause we're marching through. Make way for the maroon and blue. The mighty Roys are back in town. Fitzroy, our glory bound.
Thanks, Marty, for the sound.